Hi there, Steve Stine here again. I thought I would put together a video kind of compiling some ideas that are in my new Chops Builder course. This one's going to focus on things on the left hand. The last one I did, it talked a bit about the right hand. So with this one, I don't need a metronome. What I want to do is just kind of explain to you the overall concept of what this is. So what I want to do with this is I want to start learning how to utilize all four of my fingers in various groupings. So for instance, there's an exercise in there where what you're going to do is you're going to take each one of your finger groupings and you're going to practice going through an exercise like this. You're going to go 1 to 2 as a hammer-on, and then you're going to go to the next one and the next one. So what you're doing is you're picking the first note and then you're hammering the second note. And what you would do is you'd go all the way up to the 12th fret with this exercise and then come all the way back down. So let me show you just a little bit of that. And so on, okay? Now, we're going to start off doing these and you might think, okay, well, that's really easy. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is. But what you're going to continue doing then with these exercises is you're going to change your fingering. So instead of using 1 to 2, you might use 2 to 3. And so on. And then you're going to move on to 3 and 4. And so on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to utilizing larger intervals like 1 and 3, which is a pretty common one for us. Okay, and then we would move on to doing 1 and 4. And so on. And then we would do, for instance, 2 and 3. And then 2 and 4. And then ultimately 3 and 4, which we just did. So the point of this is what I learned to do a long time ago is I would break things down into their groupings relative to the fingers I was using. Because I found myself always using fingers 1 and 2 and using fingers 1 and 3 and maybe 1 and 4. But I would never use 2 and 3 unless I was forced to. Or God forbid using like 2 and 4 or something like that unless I was forced to. And so the point was I started breaking down, okay, well, let's do something fairly simplistic in nature on the fretboard, but just use various concepts, various groupings with our fingers to try and strengthen those. So one day, for instance, because another thing I talk about in the video is learning how to practice efficiently so you're not spending 7 hours a day trying to practice exercises. So one day I might practice all the groupings. And then the next day, maybe I don't have as much time, I might practice just certain groupings. I might practice my problematic groupings, like my 2-3, 2-4, or 3-4, something like that. And then, some days I might accentuate the ones that I'm already good at, because needless to say, we need to keep doing that. We don't just want to work on things that are problematic. We want to enhance those things we're already good at anyway. So anyway, that's breaking down the concept of using some 2 fingers. Then what we do is we move on and I do a whole variety of things with 3 fingers, where we could do the same concept, for instance, with this idea I was doing. I could go, for instance, 1, 3, and 4. So remember, the goal is to get stronger and to get faster. But it's always to stay even and to stay clean when you're playing. And that's one thing that I talk about a lot in the video is being honest with yourself when you're playing. Don't try and do something that you can't do and then convince yourself that you're doing it, but really try and utilize it so it sounds good, it sounds smooth, it sounds clean, it's even. Because when I'm doing like this exercise right now where I'm using 1, 3, and 4, 1 and 3 is going to be easy. For the most part for me, it's the 3 and 4 that I really got to focus on. So if I'm trying to play it too fast, I might be sacrificing the true nature of the exercise. Just a short story. I remember when I first started going to the gym a long time ago, and I'm on this machine, and this guy walks by me, and he's going, if you keep doing that way, you're going to wind up hurting your back. And I'm like, no, I can do this, right? So the next day I wake up and I can barely move because I've hurt my back. So part of what we need to learn how to do with these things is to do them correctly. It's not just a matter of doing it. That's not the point. It's a matter of doing it correctly to get the most results with the least amount of effort. That's what we're always looking for. So think about that a little bit in some of those. Then what I do is I move on and I start doing a variety of things, 2-finger and 3-finger again, where I might build an exercise for you where what we're going to do is we're not going to pick at all. I'm not going to use my right hand at all. And I do just a hammer on and pull off kind of legato technique. Where we're learning to hammer and pull everything, including movement to a new string. Notice how I wasn't picking the new string. And that's really hard for some people, including myself, when I first started learning how to do this, was trying to create vibration off a brand new string when we move from one string to the next without actually picking it. So in this particular kind of exercise, I'm going from the 5th fret to the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the 4th and 3rd strings, just hypothetical. And I'm not picking at all, I'm hammering. And then what we do is we start moving that around. And of course, we use different finger combinations. We're not always going to use 1, 2, and 4. We might use 1, 2, and 3, or we might use 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, and 4, of course, is the harder of those exercises. So I might be doing something like this, for instance, where I come down to the 2nd fret and I use 2, 4, and 5. Those are the frets I'm using on the same 2 strings, 3rd and 4th strings. And you have to understand with these kind of exercises, it doesn't matter whether you've been doing them for a little while or you've been doing them for a very long time. They're hard for everybody because really what you're doing is, even if you're at a higher level in your ability to do legato exercises and things like that, you're still going to fatigue. You're still going to get tired. You can probably go faster for longer, but you're still going to fatigue. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's going to continue to get you stronger and get you to be able to play for a longer period of time. So then what I can do is I can take that idea and I can start expanding it out. See where I'm using various combinations across the fretboard with different fret combinations, and then I'm attaching them together. We're going to do all kinds of things like that. Okay. Another thing that I do is I talk about, for instance, open string techniques where we might do something like this, where I might be doing a hammer-on pull-off from 10 to 7 to 0. So it's not only the pull-off technique that I'm using right there, but also the fact that I'm deadening everything out with my right hand. So as I'm doing this various technique, it's clean. You see? So it doesn't matter what speed I'm doing it at. It doesn't matter if it's fast or slow. It's whatever's working for you. Okay, and then, of course, the ultimate goal is once you've established how you do something, whether it's at a certain tempo or a certain feel, then always being able to start at that point every day and then keep trying to push the line. You keep pushing the line. You don't want to do these exercises too slow because then they're not very effective. And that really is the key to the success of all of this, is finding the right speed. And then being able to remember that. That's why, I always say practice on the days that you eat. The more you do something, the more you're aware of what it is. A lot of times I'll get students that'll come in and, I'll say, what speed can you do this at? We've been practicing a certain exercise, and they'll go, I don't remember. And then, of course, that always tells me, well, then you really weren't working on it, because if you were working on it, you'd know what speed you're doing it at. So with these legato exercises, I'm not using a metronome. It's just a feel thing. Then we start using 3-finger. And of course we can start adding in tapping. So there's all kinds of really neat things, and I keep building all of those ideas. So the prime concept of the second section of this course is all about left hand. It's building strength with 2-finger, 3-finger, and then ultimately 4-finger, which is chromatic. And right there, what I'm doing is I'm simply picking each string once to get the string vibrating. I wouldn't have to. I could hammer all of them if I wanted to. It gets a little noisy for me, though. You know what I mean? So I have a tendency of tending to want to pick each string once. We go forward, we go backward. Again, there's just all kinds of different things that you do. And then that will lead into the third segment, which is really combining all of these elements together. So hopefully that makes sense to you, what the real point of this chops builder is. The first one is to do everything we can do with down picking and alternate picking. And it seems fairly simplistic, but the truth is it's not. You break down the ideas of how to make things nice and easy for yourself. Now what I'm doing is I'm talking about the left hand and how to really understand your limitations and how to build and eliminate those limitations by isolating certain things that you're doing with your left hand and then applying all of that onto the fretboard in a host of different ways. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Enjoy this video, and please check out the Chops Builder video, the course that I have coming out, and keep practicing.